The signal and first contact. The Galactic Coalition had known peace for 3 centuries. 1,000 species from across the stars lived in harmony, their differences celebrated rather than feared. Humanity, once the newcomers to interstellar society, had earned respect for their adaptability and remarkable creativity. While not the most technologically advanced, humans possessed an ingenuity that other species found both baffling and invaluable. On the remote planet Epsilon Vega, nestled in the Scarlet Nebula's outer reaches, Dr. Elara Winters and her team of synorcheologists uncovered what appeared to be the remnants of a civilization far older than any previously discovered. The ruins predated known galactic history by at least 2 million years. "This is unprecedented," Elara whispered, her breath fogging in the thin atmosphere as she brushed dust from a metallic structure embedded in the bedrock. The obelisk, if one could call it that, seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its surface remained eerily cold despite the scorching twin suns overhead. Commander Turek Malik, the security officer assigned to the expedition, maintained a professional distance but couldn't hide his unease. "Dr. Winters, perhaps we should consult Coalition headquarters before proceeding further." Elara barely registered his concern. 20 years of fieldwork had taught her to recognize truly significant finds, and this was the discovery of a lifetime. "The structure isn't just a building or monument, Commander. I believe it's technology, still operational after millions of years." The team worked methodically, mapping the vast underground complex that housed the obelisk. As they removed layers of sediment, they discovered intricate patterns etched into the walls, patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Dr. Sanjay Mehta, the team's xenolinguist, spent days analyzing the symbols. "They're not just decorative," he announced one evening as the team gathered in their temporary habitat. "I believe they're instructions." Elara leaned forward, fatigue forgotten. "Instructions for what?" "Communication," Sanjay replied, his eyes bright with excitement. "This entire structure is a transmitter of some kind." What happened next would be debated in survivor accounts for years to come. Some claimed Elara authorized activation of the structure against Commander Malik's explicit orders. Others insisted the obelisk activated itself once the excavation reached a critical point. The official record, however, would show only that at 4:27 hours, Colony Standard Time, an electromagnetic pulse of unprecedented magnitude erupted from Epsilon Vega, carrying with it a signal that propagated faster than light across the void between galaxies. Within hours, the Coalition's long-range sensors detected an anomaly in the intergalactic medium, a distortion in spacetime that shouldn't have been possible. Admiral Helena Chen of the Coalition Defense Fleet received the report with the grim resignation of someone who had spent a lifetime preparing for the worst. "Dispatch the interceptor to Epsilon Vega. Full tactical alert." The interceptor, commanded by Captain Diego Reyes, was the Coalition's most advanced warship. Equipped with prototype quantum shielding and bristling with antimatter cannons, it represented the pinnacle of united galactic engineering. The crew was handpicked, the best pilots, gunners, and tactical officers from a dozen species. Lieutenant Commander Mira Tulura, the ship's Centurion sensor officer, was the first to notice something strange as they approached Epsilon Vega. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations surrounding the planet. It's as if reality itself is thinning." Diego frowned. In 15 years of deep space missions, he'd never heard a seasoned officer like Tulura sound frightened. On screen, the main view screen shimmered to life, showing Epsilon Vega, but not as they expected. The planet was surrounded by a shimmering veil, like heat rising from desert sand. As they watched, the veil pulsed, and within it, something moved. "What the hell is that?" Diego whispered. The entity defied conventional description. It existed partly in normal space and partly elsewhere, its form constantly shifting as if struggling to maintain cohesion in our reality. Where it touched the planet's atmosphere, reality itself seemed to warp and fold. "Open a channel," Diego ordered, his mouth dry. "All frequencies." The communication officer complied, but before any message could be transmitted, the ship's systems went haywire. Every screen displayed the same sequence of symbols, identical to those found in the ruins. Dr. Ilara Winter's voice suddenly echoed through the bridge, though no communication had been established. "Discovered something in the lower chambers. The symbols aren't instructions for communication, they're a warning. This isn't a transmitter, it's a beacon, a distress signal. But whoever built it wasn't calling for help. They were warning others to stay away. Whatever they feared, it's coming through." The transmission cut off abruptly as the entity around Epsilon Vega pulsed again, more violently this time. The planet's surface began to crack, fissures of brilliant energy spreading across continents. "We need to evacuate the research team," Diego said, turning to his first officer. "Prepare a shuttle and—" He never finished the sentence. The entity surged forward, enveloping the interceptor in its otherworldly presence. Every crew member froze as a voice, or something approximating a voice, resonated directly in their minds. At last, the Sci-Fi boys received. The sensation was excruciating, like having one's brain scrubbed with steel wool. Several crew members collapsed, blood trickling from their ears and noses. Diego fought through the pain, desperate to understand. "Who? What are you?" "We are the harvesters. We consume uses. Images flooded Diego's mind. Countless civilizations across countless galaxies, each one discovered, infiltrated, and systematically dismantled. Not for resources or territory, but for something more fundamental, the very essence of sentient thought. The builders escaped us once. They skaterigi their CONSCIOUS engineers across many vessels, many forms. We AAVSEARCG. Now we AAVFODU and where they hide." With horrifying clarity, Diego understood. The ancient civilization hadn't gone extinct. They had transformed themselves, perhaps becoming the ancestors of current galactic species. The entity wasn't just an invader. It was a predator that had been hunting its prey across millions of years. "We will consume all." The interceptor's quantum shields failed catastrophically as the entity's presence intensified. Hull breaches erupted across the ship as reality itself became hostile to conventional matter. Diego managed to activate the emergency beacon, broadcasting everything they had learned back to Coalition headquarters. His final message was simple. It feeds on consciousness itself. Conventional weapons useless. The ancient civilization found a way to hide from it. We need to find out how. This isn't an invasion. It's a harvest. As the interceptor disintegrated around him, Diego witnessed Epsilon Vega crack apart like an egg. From within emerged not planetary magma, but a swarm of entities similar to the first, each pulsing with hungry anticipation. The harvest had begun. Back at Coalition headquarters, Admiral Chen watched the interceptor's final transmission with growing horror. Reports were already coming in from outlying systems, strange phenomena, communication outages, entire colonies going silent. She turned to her staff, face grim with determination. "Send word to every world in the Coalition. We are at war with something beyond our understanding. And contact Earth specifically. If this entity feeds on consciousness, we need the species that specializes in thinking differently. Humanity, with its chaotic creativity and unpredictable nature, had always been an oddity in galactic society. Now that very oddity might be their salvation." As Coalition worlds prepared for an unimaginable threat, Dr. Ilara Winters and her surviving team raced through the ruins on Epsilon Vega, delving deeper than any had gone before. The planet was coming apart around them, but Ilara had glimpsed something in the entity's thoughts when it breached their reality: a vulnerability. The builders didn't just hide, she told Commander Malik as they descended into the planet's core. They found a way to poison themselves against the harvesters. We need to find that knowledge before everything is consumed. Above them, the first wave of harvesters spread outward from Epsilon Vega, their hunger undiminished after millions of years. The galaxy's long peace had ended, and what followed would test every species to its breaking point. But in the depths of ancient ruins, as a civilization teetered on the brink, humanity prepared to do what it had always done best: adapt, improvise, and defy impossible odds. Humanity's last stand. 3 weeks after the fall of Epsilon Vega, half the coalition lay in ruins. The harvesters moved through inhabited systems with terrifying efficiency, their very presence warping the fabric of reality. Conventional weapons passed harmlessly through their quasi-material forms. Planetary shields collapsed under their touch. Even the most advanced coalition battleships were reduced to drifting husks, their crews left as hollow shells, physically intact but devoid of the spark that made them sentient. On Earth, in the underground complex beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, coalition leaders gathered in desperate council. "The outer colonies are gone," reported Admiral Chen, her once immaculate uniform now worn and stained. Sleep had become a distant memory. The harvesters don't seem interested in resources or territory. They're systematically extracting consciousness from every sentient being they encounter. General Yuri Petrov of the Earth Defense Forces slammed his fist on the table. "Then we evacuate everyone to the core worlds and make our stand there. We have to try the Thanatos Protocol." A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. The Thanatos Protocol. Simultaneous detonation of quantum singularity bombs across strategic points in space-time had always been theoretical, a doomsday option that might tear apart the fabric of the galaxy itself. "We've analyzed the interceptor's final data," countered Dr. Maya Rodriguez, Earth's foremost xenobiologist. "The harvesters exist partially outside our reality. Even the Thanatos Protocol might not affect them, but it would certainly destroy us." The debate might have continued indefinitely, if not for the arrival of a battered transport ship. Its hull scorched and systems failing, it limped into Mars orbit under the escort of what remained of the Coalition's Fourth Fleet. From it emerged the improbable: Dr. Ilara Winters and Commander Malik, along with 3 surviving members of their team. They had escaped Epsilon Vega's destruction by descending into the planet's core, where they discovered something extraordinary. "The builders left us a weapon," Ilara announced to the stunned council, placing an artifact on the table. It resembled a crystalline sphere, its interior swirling with colors that had no name in human language. Not a conventional weapon, but information. The key to understanding the harvester's weakness. The data extracted from the artifact was complex beyond comprehension, requiring the combined processing power of 7 quantum supercomputers to decode. What emerged was both fascinating and terrifying. "The harvesters don't just consume consciousness," Ilara explained as holograms displayed the ancient knowledge. "They consume predictable consciousness. Logical, ordered thought is like a beacon to them. Easy to find, easy to extract. But chaotic, creative, contradictory thinking. It's toxic to them. It's why they never completely eradicated the builders. Some had evolved thought patterns too unpredictable to be safely harvested." Admiral Chen leaned forward, hope kindling for the first time in weeks. "And humans have the most chaotic thought patterns in the known galaxy." "Precisely," Commander Malik nodded. "Our analysis of affected worlds shows that human colonies were harvested last, and with greater caution. The harvesters find us difficult to digest." The implication was clear. Humanity's greatest strength, their unpredictable creativity, their ability to embrace contradictory ideas, their chaotic innovation, was poison to the harvesters. Dr. Rodriguez quickly developed a radical theory. "If we could amplify human creative thought, broadcast it like a weapon, we'd need a focal point," Ilara cautioned. "Something to channel and amplify billions of human minds simultaneously." The answer came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Sophia Patel, a junior communications officer who had been quietly monitoring the discussion, cleared her throat. "The collective memory core. All eyes turned to her. "It was my doctoral thesis," she explained, suddenly self-conscious. "A theoretical network that could link human minds without homogenizing thought. Unlike traditional hive minds that average out individuality, the memory core would amplify the unique aspects of each connected consciousness." General Petrov scoffed. "A student thesis won't save us from extinction." "Actually," interrupted Dr. Rodriguez, studying the specifications Sophia had transferred to her tablet, "this might work. With modifications to the Coalition's FTL communication network." Within 48 hours, every human colony received instructions. Volunteer teams worked around the clock, converting FTL relays into components of Sophia's memory core. The non-human coalition members, unable to directly participate due to their more structured consciousness, provided protection and resources. As the core neared completion, the harvesters approached Sol's system. Their advance had slowed noticeably as they encountered increasing concentrations of human populations, but their hunger remained insatiable. The activation sequence required a living mind at the center, someone to serve as the focal point for billions of connected consciousnesses. Sophia Patil volunteered without hesitation. "My design, my responsibility," she said simply. In orbit around Earth, a hastily constructed space station housed the core's central nexus. Sophia sat within a crystalline chamber, neural interfaces connecting her to the network that now spanned human space. "Harvester Vanguard has breached the Kuiper Belt," announced the tactical officer on the station. 12 minutes to optimal range." Admiral Chen gave the order. "Activate the core." Sophia closed her eyes as the system engaged. Billions of human minds flowed into her consciousness, not as a cacophony, but as a symphony of chaotic creativity. Every contradictory belief, every irrational hope, every illogical dream that made humanity unique surged through the network. The harvesters sensed the change immediately. The leading edge of their formation paused, rippling with what might have been confusion. "What is this order?" The thought projected across all frequencies, causing communication systems throughout the fleet to short-circuit. Through the core, humanity answered not with words, but with the full spectrum of their consciousness: art and music, poetry and mathematics, love and hatred, courage and fear, all the contradictions that defined them. The effect was immediate and devastating. The harvesters convulsed, their quasi-material forms distorting as they struggled to process the tsunami of unpredictable thought. Where they had moved with purpose, now they flailed in apparent agony. "It's working," shouted Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring the core's output. "They can't process our collective consciousness." But the victory was precarious. The core, never designed for such power, began to overheat. Warning signals flashed across control panels. Sophia's vital signs fluctuated dangerously as her mind struggled to channel the collective human consciousness. "We can't sustain this," warned Commander Malik. "The core is breaking down." Sophia's voice came through the communication system, strained but determined. "I can hold it. Just need to push them back further." The harvesters began to retreat, their formation disintegrating as individual entities sought escape from the psychic assault. But the damage to the core accelerated. Power conduits exploded across the station. Support systems failed one after another. Admiral Chen faced an impossible choice: deactivate the core and save Sophia and the station, or maintain the attack until the harvesters were driven beyond the solar system. The decision was taken from her. Sophia, sensing through the core that the harvesters were preparing a counterattack, locked out the override controls. "They're adapting," she gasped, blood trickling from her nose as the neural load intensified. "I can feel them, learning to shield themselves. We won't get another chance." With her remaining strength, Sophia redirected the core's full output, focusing not on driving the harvesters back, but on something more fundamental, pushing them completely out of our reality. The core's central chamber blazed with energy as Sophia channeled every connected human mind into a single purpose. The structure of space-time around the harvesters began to fold and twist, creating a cascading dimensional rift. "Sophia, stop," pleaded Admiral Chen. "You're exceeding safe parameters." "There are no safe parameters left," Sophia replied, her voice eerily calm despite the strain tearing her apart. "Tell everyone. It was an honor to carry their thoughts." The core reached critical power, channeling more energy than should have been physically possible. In their final moments together, billions of human minds united in a single defiant cry against the darkness. The dimensional rift expanded exponentially, engulfing the Harvester fleet. Their alien screams echoed across all frequencies as they were forcibly ejected from our reality, pushed back into whatever dark dimension they had originated from. As the rift sealed behind them, the core imploded. The station's forward section vaporized instantly. Emergency systems managed to preserve the command center, but Sophia and the core were gone. In the silence that followed, something unexpected happened. A signal arrived from deep space, not hostile, but cautious. A voice, somehow familiar yet alien, spoke on all channels. "The Harvesters are banished for now, but the rift is not permanent. We have watched your resistance with great interest." A ship appeared at the edge of the solar system, its design echoing the architecture found in the ruins on Epsilon Vega. "You called us the Builders. We have had many names across many eons. We recognize in your species the same chaos that saved a fragment of our own. Perhaps together, we can prepare for their return." The surviving coalition leaders gathered on Earth's moon to meet the Builder representatives. The knowledge they offered was both sobering and hopeful. The Harvesters would return eventually, but humanity's chaotic consciousness provided a foundation for weapons that might permanently defeat them. In the Great Hall of New Armstrong City, Admiral Chen unveiled a memorial to those lost in what became known as the Consciousness War. At its center stood a hologram of Sophia Patel, forever preserved at the moment of her sacrifice. Beneath it, a simple inscription read, "They came seeking order. We answered with beautiful chaos." The galaxy would never return to its former peace. Too much had been lost, too many worlds emptied of sentient life. But something new emerged from the ashes, a deeper understanding between species, a respect for the unique strengths each brought to their collective defense. And in research centers across coalition space, human scientists worked alongside Builder mentors, developing technologies that combined ancient wisdom with human unpredictability. They built not just weapons, but a new way of thinking about consciousness itself, not as something to be feared or controlled, but as the most powerful force in the universe. When the Harvesters eventually returned, they would find not the easy prey they expected, but a galaxy transformed, a civilization forged in fire, unified in purpose, and gloriously, defiantly chaotic in thought. As Ilara Winters, now the Coalition's chief xenoarchaeologist, often reminded the next generation, "We sent a distress call into the darkness, and horror answered. But in facing that horror, we discovered our greatest strength was the very chaos we once tried to overcome." And in the vast, mysterious expanses beyond known space, other ancient enemies watched and waited, reconsidering their plans in light of the species that had done the impossible, the species that had poisoned the Harvesters with the power of unpredictable thought.